The issue was political violence on campus. But the riot has now shifted the spotlight from colleges alone to what's happening away from the glare of cameras in the bloody battlefield of... Reporting from Kannur's killing fields, an 8 p.m. exclusive.
Good evening and thanks for tuning in to 8 p.m. You're joining us on from the Delhi University. I'm Padmaja Joshi. The latest chapter was written in The Patriot Wars, but a deliberate attempt was made to try and broad-base the narrative. Much more on that ahead on the show. But first is University North Campus, and right here at the Vivekanand statue as well, there were posters like these which were abundantly present. Posters that spoke about the martyrs of Kerala. But who are these martyrs? Is there only one side to the political violence that has dogged the state for several months now? Overcoming the tyranny of distance, Revati Rajivan gets you the stories behind these names, behind these posters.
Kannur in North Kerala, a place of scenic beauty, where Hindu heritage unites with a rich colonial history to provide a unique experience. But in recent years, this part of God's own country has turned into a bloody battlefield between the left and the BJP RSS activists. A war that has escalated into barbarity over the years, leaving devastated families in its wake. Sajni watched helplessly as her husband, Dhanarajan, was hacked to death allegedly by the CPM workers. She's left with 2 young sons. Political killings should not happen. My son asks me, couldn't they have just talked it out? Why did they have to kill our father? Just 2 hours later, C.K. Ramachandran, associated with RSS affiliate Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh, was murdered in his own house. They broke into our house, hacked my husband right here. I begged them not to. He was liked by all. He helped everyone. 32-year-old Sajid is one of the latest victims, attacked by a mob during an RSS meeting.
I fell unconscious after they hit me. They thought I was dead. That's why they left.
In spite of the bloodshed, politicians refusing to own up to their mistakes, instead putting the blame on the other side.
It has been a one-side attack. We have not responded or reacted. But the CPM continue to attack us. Those who are threatened by the growth of CPM as a non-communal party are unleashing attacks on us. It is not one-sided. There have been reactions too.
In the past 25 years, from 1991, there have been 106 murders in this battle. But Netas have refused to acknowledge the reality, which is why no effort is made to end this politics of violence and murder. With Revati Rajivan in Kannur, Bureau Report, India Today.
Revati Rajivan joining us live from Trivandrum on that story. Revati, even the courts have taken note of the sheer scale of this political violence. But now with this issue being taken up on the platform that it has in Delhi, is there hope that finally this crossfire between the 2 warring sides is going to stop in Kerala?
Well, Padmaja, as we know, this political violence has been going on in Kannur for the last more than 4 decades, and hundreds of workers have died. Now, with the RSS leader announcing today or making a statement saying that those who would behead the Kerala CM would be rewarded, such statements is what is dangerous. Such statements can only incite further violence. And there are peace talks that are going on in Kannur, which the district administration and the police officials are trying their best to bring forward, to bring in all the parties that are part of this violence and to ensure that there is peace in Kannur. But such statements that come in every now and then will incite further violence and will only smash all the little hope that is left in places like Kannur. Now, throughout Kerala, we know that the RSS and CPM have been enemy of the other party, and neither of these party leaders have the right to claim that it is only their party workers that have been killed. They have no right to claim that it has been a one-sided affair. Just last week, one of the senior BJP leaders in Kerala made a public announcement stating that earlier when the BJP had just 2% vote share in Kerala, they did retaliate to the CPM attacks. They did give back for each and every murder that the CPM had committed. This was a public statement that one of the BJP leaders in Kerala made just last week. So each time there is a murder or each time there is a statement of this sort, it only leads to more retaliation and more violence and more war of words that takes place in the state of Kerala and in the political circle. And remember...
But again and again, Revati, when you speak to the right and they say that their activists are the ones who are literally being cut down, they are being slayed by the dozens every year. They say that there is a deliberate silence on the part of the state government. How credible is this claim?
Well, looking at the statistics of the last several years, at least let's take the last 10 years of statistics that we have put out in our story as well, the number of people who have died from both parties are equal. There is always a tit-for-tat retaliation that happens in the state of Kerala, be it in Kannur or other places. It is very much significant, very high in the state or in the district of Kannur. But if you look at the numbers, the number of people dying in both the parties and always on the same level, it is like tallying out or balancing out the other party's death that is there. So there is a tit for tat that happens all the time. If there is one murder that takes place from one party, within 24 hours or within 48 hours, we have seen murders taking place from the other party as well. Like the case studies that we put out in our story, those two murders, each person belongs to a different party, one from the right and one from the left. Both of them were murdered in a span of 48 hours. So equally, there has been retaliation that both parties have been equally strong in Kannur. So if there are a group of people that one party is trying to portray as martyrs, then the other party too has that story to tell. But the point is that there has not been any deliberate effort from the part of the top leaders to initiate peace in these districts. What the leaders forget is that every time they make these statements and every time they fail to initiate peace, it is the people from the lower strata in the party workers at the lower level that are being affected. All these murders that have taken place, all these party workers that have died are people in the local committee. None of the major leaders who are making these statements are really being affected here, Padmaja. That is what they are forgetting.
In fact, the best way that this was summed up was on Wednesday when the High Court Division bench said that parties may call them martyrs for political gains. The top brass, which mastermind and orchestrate these barbaric actions, remain safe and secure. They celebrate Martyrs' Day and shed crocodile tears, and it's the grassroots level workers who are becoming the victims of political killings. Revati, thanks very much for joining us on this story. From being a question of ideology, now the debate around Ramjas College and what happened there has also become about campus violence. And in trying to retaliate, when the ABVP took out their Save DU Yatra today, they tried to change the narrative on the whole issue of violence, turning it only from what happens on campus to what happens across the country. Here's how.
Posters showing images of mangled bodies occupy every corner of Delhi University's North Campus. 7 days after violence gripped Delhi University, these posters have changed the narrative of the DU Dangal.
Some people have been issuing certificates of violence to us especially and have been alleging that we are indulging in violence in campuses. But this is regarding the communists. Wherever the communists have come in power, there has been violence and there has been everyone from the opposite side has been eliminated by them.
But the facade of peace soon got murky as ABVP protesters keen to combat allegations of violence started chanting slogans like this.
Allegedly by the
होल्डिंग दोस्त क्या करते हैं? आप लोग केरला के वायलेंस की जो फोटो लेके घूम रहे हैं, इसका मतलब क्या दिखाना चाहते हैं, क्या बोलना चाहते हैं? मार्क्सवाद और नक्सलवाद ये फैला रहे हैं, ये यहाँ दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी में नहीं फैलने देंगे, जो हर जगह अपने देश में रह के अपने देश का खा के ये गुंडागर्दी देखिए क्या है।
As the chanting got louder, crowds grew impatient and slowly aggressive.
You've got people, holding the tricolor over here. There's again this massive Tiranga march which is being carried out.
बेसिक थीम है गद्दारों को सबक सिखाना। हम भारतवासी हैं जिसको आजाद ने हमारे देश को आजाद करवाया है।
आप यहाँ पर तिरंगा लेकर के जा रहे हैं और आप लोगों को गोली मारने की बात कर रहे हैं।
गद्दारों के लिए तो गोली मारना ही सबसे उचित रहेगा।
As the ISA ABVP waged a rally for a rally war, Delhi University's campus fire spilled over to the other states as well. From a Tiranga rally in Punjab University to a solidarity march for Gurmehar in Jalandhar, 7 days on, protests refused to die down in these campuses. We're reporting here today.
But the irony of our times is that even when resisting violence of any kind, whether it be ideological or on the campus, the very theme of violence only crops up. And that is exactly what happened when during a debate on the political violence in Kerala, a bounty was offered by an RSS leader for the head of Kerala's chief minister.
संपत्ति है मेरे पास इतनी, इसलिए घोषणा करने की हिम्मत कर रहा हूँ। 1 करोड़ से ज्यादा का लगभग मकान है, उसका सर काट के लाते हैं विजयन का कोई मेरे को, वो मकान वो जायदाद में उसके नाम कर दूं।
The RSS-left war in Kerala is resonating in Madhya Pradesh and evoking the most outrageous of reactions. Ujjain RSS leader Dr. Kundan Chandrawat has offered a reward of 1 crore rupees to anyone who beheads Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan.
हत्या का आरोप उस पे आज भी चल रहा है। इस देश के लोकतंत्र का दुर्भाग्य कहूंगा, लोकतंत्र का नहीं, लोकतंत्र का दुर्भाग्य कहूंगा कि वो आज इस केरल का मुख्यमंत्री बना फिर रहा है।
And Chandrawat made this most objectionable announcement from a public platform, flanked by a BJP MP and an MLA. Chandrawat says Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan is directly responsible for the murder of RSS and BJP activists in the state.
अगर अब किसी स्वयंसेवक को अगर उस सरकार ने छेड़ा, अगर वहां पे किसी राजनीतिक हत्या में कोई आम आदमी मारा गया, तो ये देश उसको करारा जवाब देगा।
The RSS has beheaded a lot of leaders, haven't they? I'm just going to continue with my own work.
Pinarayi Vijayan, the target of RSS attack, shrugged off Chandrawat's threats, but CPM leader Sitaram Yechuri hit out at the RSS. So far, the RSS has not distanced itself from the death threat made to a chief minister by one of its functionaries. Bureau Report, India Today.
Rolling on this entire nationalism and patriotism debate which has reached Delhi University, originally at JNU, but a year on, even as the merits of who was involved in the February 11 episode or not is being debated, India Today's Ashutosh discovered that posters like the one which was seen last year still regularly keep making an appearance at JNU. Why does this continue to happen?
February 9th, 2016, the night that propelled JNU into controversy. A year later, has JNU changed?
इन छात्र राजनीति की शुरुआत देश के सबसे बड़े शिक्षा संस्थान में, पूरी आज़ादी है उसकी। ऐसे में छात्र ये क्यों कहते हैं कि आखिर उन्हें सवाल पूछने की आज़ादी नहीं है? अगर सवाल पूछने की आज़ादी न होती तो क्या ये फ्रीडम स्क्वायर यहाँ पर होता? क्या छात्र यहाँ पर बैठते? ऐसी न जाने कितनी तस्वीरें हैं जो दिखाती हैं कि यहाँ पर छात्रों ने धरना दिया, अपनी आवाज़ उठाई और प्रशासन को अपने आगे मजबूर कर दिया।
To some, it's posters like these that justify the anti-nationalism tag that the JNU has been given. To others, it's their right.
These kind of posters or these kind of elements, those are presence in the campus. That is, one of the prime reason that why JNU is a controversial place.
So I don't think so, because as I said earlier also, there are different people who believe in different ideology. Not a single of them represent the whole community, the whole JNU community as a whole. There are people with completely contradictory ideology who stay together and be proud about JNU.
Do you think the students must take note of it and at least discuss amongst yourselves that these things will not be allowed in JNU?
No, I don't think that we can take a position that whose thing will be allowed or not. We do not want a surveillance on people's ideology. People have the full right to come and express their thought.
This sentiment seems to resonate across the campus.
अपॉर्चुनिटी के बात पे तो सवाल खड़े नहीं हो रहे। यहाँ पे जो कुछ भी आज़ादी लोग जो बात कर रहे हैं वो तो प्रॉब्लम्स का है। देश के अंदर जो प्रॉब्लम्स है उसका आज़ादी मांग रहे हैं।
जो यजीदी महिलाओं पर उनके साथ जो रेप हुआ है, उन बालकों को जो बेच दिया जाता है, उस पर भी हमने बात उठाई है। तिब्बत के शरणार्थियों की बात उठाई है। यहाँ पर कश्मीर को लेकर, चाहे वहाँ कश्मीर में जो आज 26 साल हो गए हैं, आज भी लोग विस्थापित हैं, शरणार्थी के रूप में रह रहे हैं, उनकी भी आवाज़ हम लोग उठाए हैं। और वो चाहे आप देखेंगे पोस्टर के माध्यम से भी और पब्लिक टॉक के माध्यम से भी।
A year later, JNU students will not give up their freedom to debate. Even as the fire rages in Delhi University, here too the charges remain the same. While the arena may be different, students continue to fight to freely debate. Bureau Report, India Today.
Ashutosh with us on the phone line now. Ashutosh, is this also going to be allowed in JNU under the garb of freedom of speech? What about the JNU administration? Ashutosh, is the JNU administration considering even removing these posters or taking some kind of preventive action against more of them coming up? All right, we seem to have lost the line with Ashutosh, but this is going to remain our focus. Incidentally, the president also spoke today and said that the universities should remain a place where discussion and debate should continue, but where is the line between having a reasoned debate and then crossing that line over into asking for the disintegration of the country? This debate will continue. That's it then on today's edition of 8 PM. Thanks very much for having joined us on this special broadcast. Coming up next is India First.